saw you, I would lose control. Did you make it? Did you break free? Did you manage to be who you wanna be? Maybe somewhere you think about me too. I wonder where are you now? Wonder where are you now? Wonder where are you now? Would you know my name? Would you know it ended? You feel the same. Wonder where are you now? Wonder where are you now? It's too late now, 'cause I'm growing old, but I need you. Did you make it? Did you break free? Did you manage to be who you wanna be? Maybe somewhere you think about me too. I wonder where are you now? Wonder where are you now? Wonder where are you now? Would you know my name? Would you know it ended? You feel the same. Wonder where are you now? Wonder where are you now?
I really need to fix the jack on that tablet. Oh, forget it. Forget it, tablet. Let's just start, shall we? My goodness. Honestly, technology in 2019, just can't trust it, can't rely upon it. That's the one problem with that tablet, or indeed, I guess any old technology. The headphone jack has started. It is time for the first CAD like no one's watching of 2019, and I hope that you will join me. Maybe hang out, get some work done, do some stuff of your own whilst we make progress in this next hour between 5 and 6 here in the UK. I have got a few projects that I want to get on with, a couple of new things I want to start to noodle with, as I think through into the coming year and the things that I want to try and do. So I guess I've got one that will be more of a tidy thing or more of a workshop improvement, and one that will be a bit more of a home improvement. We'll get to that in a little while. Obviously, I like to start with a bit of a recap of my week and of the day. So what? I mean, I guess this week we obviously had the lovely 3 days. Nice short week. I wish every week could be a short week. That was pretty nice. And yeah, not looking forward to having to do a full one next week. Other than that, it was pretty uneventful, really. Standard return to the office. And then today I worked on the bandsaw stand. So we've been working on that kind of for a little while in these live streams, as I've refined the shape of the 3D printed component. So what I will just do, let's dive in and take a look at the design. So you can kind of see where I was thinking with this, and it'll be interesting to then compare to what actually ended up doing. So this is where I spent most of the time and effort, I guess, was in making sure that this piece of the puzzle was pretty close to the right shape. I ended up deciding to have these cutouts so that I could use wedges to kind of make it clamp firmly rather than rely on getting this whole 3D printed shape to fit exactly that precisely. That has worked out quite well. I spent a little bit of time this morning, ignore kind of the exact relative placement, but I was thinking about the base of this thing and giving it stability and such, and I was sort of thinking, oh, well, I guess I can just make essentially a triangle that I would weld these uprights onto that would create a base. And obviously then just start and think about, okay, well, that's kind of cut at 60 degrees per end, weld up nice triangular bits. I did briefly think about kind of doing this in a slightly different funky way, which would have just been one cut at each end, one cut on the end of each piece, and then tessellate round. But why did I decide against that then? I think I decided it was just going to be a bit too complicated compared to just a standard angled cut. And the advantage of this angled cut would be that you'd end up a completely sealed thing with none of the bare ends. But all of this thinking came to naught when I actually got around to doing it. So let's have a quick looky at some pictures from today. I do have video. I will make a video. I'll probably edit a video tomorrow of the building of this. Quite happy with some of these pictures actually. This is obviously the interface point. You can see kind of just through here the 3D printed puck being held in place, bolted through this section of square section. And contrary again to the original kind of thinking design, where I was thinking, well, these two things would kind of sit right alongside the bulk of the body, I ended up bringing these because the body's actually kind of tapered round at the back. This is sort of you can kind of see the handle just coming up there. Yeah, come back. There we are. So yeah, I kind of ended up this being a little bit closer together and more directly under this, which I think worked nicely. Let's come back out of this. Right. So yeah, so I took a bunch of like beauty shots of this, but the main difference from what I had been thinking was just I realized I don't really need or want a full-time welded on kind of foot to this stand, because the whole point of this is that it is going to be something that is easy to put the bandsaw on and also easy to take it off again. And if I take it when it's off, then I'm going to have to put this whole stand somewhere. So I ended up realizing, well, I've got this vise. As long as I can clamp it securely in the vise, the flatter I can actually keep this whole mount, the better, because then I can just like slot it somewhere out of the way. That was kind of the key revelation that I had whilst I was cutting the steel originally this morning. So that's what I ended up doing. So this is it sort of from the back when it's mounted. So these two verticals ended up coming nice and tight into this side of the body. The switch is accessible here, and the handle just holds over on that puck, and it works. I'm not going to say perfectly, but it works well. Hey, ask questions, try things. Good evening. Yeah, so I say progress today was good. I put the design of the 3D printed puck that I kind of worked on the last couple of weeks into practice and put this whole mount in place. So this is kind of what it all looks like in situ. There are a bunch of improvements I want to make to this, which I will probably do I will certainly do separate videos. I don't know if there's there might be some cause to design. So I'm not super happy about zip tying the switch. It would be nicer if there was something built onto the stand that would kind of reach across and clamp this in place. And I don't know whether I want to make that out of metal or 3D printing. I might consider trying to make something that kind of clamps onto the stand that reaches across. That would be quite cool. Ultimately, I will probably make a larger work plate to clamp onto this metal piece right here. Slides back and forwards. There are a couple of screws that just go into a little track that you can kind of clamp on. So I'd probably replace that. And obviously the whole need to zip tie this means that you then are ending up with like plug it in or don't plug it in, and that's not ideal. So I will also probably come up, well, I have the beginnings of a plan to make it so that I have a sort of a regular switch that it would plug into that would let me switch on and off nicely. Yeah, so I was thinking some kind of mechanical switch holding over, like some kind of a lever, indeed. Because it's a shame in some ways that the thing doesn't have a lock-on mechanism, but anyway, so that is future thinking. That is something I want to improve, but I guess in terms of proving out the idea of just having this shaped puck that goes through the handle and the whole thing just rests in place works great. I had a chance to use it. It's nice and secure. It hasn't finished uploading some of that video. Maybe it has. There we are. So, although that's not very well. We're going to get video. Let's just leave that for a second. But as you can see, like it's really easy to use. Like I think the benefit of being a mount like this is quite cool. You can get a lot more control and precision. I didn't end up chopping anything completely through when I was doing it this way, just because I didn't want to have things fall down through the fairly large gap here. I think a lot of people end up with a more zero clearance kind of pad when they're doing this kind of tight work. But there you go. There will be a proper video of the making of that whole stand tied together. But for the people who joined to CAD like nobody's watching, you saw it first in terms of the initial thinking, design, etc., etc. So I am going to put this to the side for now. I do have some ideas for switches and such, but I don't want to do that right this minute. I have a couple of things I want to work on. One is fairly boring, but in the scope of workshop tidying, I do have this idea. I've seen this idea other people have done of 3D printed soft jaws for their vise, and obviously working with the vise today, that kind of made me think, oh yeah, it would be kind of cool to do that. So I took some measurements earlier. I might whip up a basic design for that quickly. I do want to where are we? Copy carrier V2. I do want to finish this. I haven't finished the copy carrier design. I did do a bit more work on it last week, and then I got frustrated with parts of it. But we can continue that, and then the thing that I want to get into at the end is I'm gonna make. All right, it's been on the list for a long time. Is to make a gate for the side of the house. Currently, we have like a little passage that runs down the side of the house that people can just come in and out of, no problem. And it's been on kind of on the theory for a long time to just put maybe a little gate there. So I'd like to play with some design ideas for that. So that is what's on my my plan. Am I going to print the soft drawers in ABS or some sort of flexible filament? I might print them in PETG because I do have some PETG. That would probably be better than the PLA, but I might try both. They're not very big, so the main thing I think with the soft drawers will be to put some recesses in for magnets. That seems to be the cunning plan that people do. So where to start? In fact, I'm going to do that first, the soft drawers, because I think it's going to be easy, and I realize saying that is like famous last words. I'm going to be here in like half an hour kicking myself for this stupid thing. Right, layout grid. So what do we need to do? So they're 107 mil wide. So what I will quickly do is I'll just model up what is an actual jaw. So they are 25 mil tall and 13 wide. Comme ça. And they are 107 mil long. So each jaw has a metal plate on it, which is like that, which is screwed on. So I just want to make a cover, basically something that will fit over that fairly snugly with space for some magnets to kind of just hold them in place. There's no real forces at play. It's just going to be squished by the vice force. I guess I will want to think when I 3D print them about how much filler. Like normally I print things very, very empty. But I guess if the whole point is that it's going to be crushed in a vice, probably want to make them a little bit more robust. Right, so what is the best way to just create essentially just something that will cap over this? Doesn't need to go full 13 wide. I'm gonna draw on this surface, or on this plane. We'll come over a wee smidge, and in basically all directions. 27 by 100, so if I do 27, that's 2 mil higher than the thing, that sounds fine. 112, so what was 107, so how much do I want on each side? Probably only needs to be 111, because then we've got 2 mil clearance all the way around. I just need to dimension that off that line to make that what I want. Marvelous. So what we'll do then is we'll extrude that fella out. Let's stick with our 2 mil dimensions as a new body. And then let's turn that body off for a second, turn that sketch back on, and we'll extrude the other way. In fact, I want to turn that body off, that body on, and we'll go back by 10 mil and we'll join. And there we have a wee cover. That'll be perfect. Now, I don't think I need this to be squared all the way down. Let's just, not chamfer, not fillet, chamfer is what I want. So something like that. Maybe I'll do 2 distances and we'll make that a little bit sharper. Like it doesn't need all that back material. It's obviously just going to be printed probably like that. That'll do. And then, yeah, I guess I just want a couple of recesses for some magnets in the top. So let's draw in here. Let's get to the center line. How big are my magnets? Does anyone remember? Oh yeah, I probably will round the corners. That is a good idea because I just don't want to be touching things. How big were my magnets? I think I want to say 5, but let's assume 5 for now. Let's let's see. Let's make them 15 in from the end. That's probably fine, isn't it? And let's create a rectangular pattern of them. Somewhat evenly spread out. That looks good enough to me. And how I see now, the one thing where I might find is that I'm planning on 2 mil thickness here, but that's not really going to be enough for the magnets, is it? That is not enough for the magnets. They're going to be at least. I should have brought them up. I think I'm probably going to want to offset that face up, maybe even another 2. Top surface of a full 4 mil. That's a bit bulky, but that will give me a bit more space. I'm going to move that operation. Come on. I want to move this operation. Oh, because I've got something active, that's why. We'll just reorder that and then edit that feature so that I can come down without causing myself problems. And we'll come down more like 3. It's at least 3. But there we are. That'll probably be that. And then, as you say, let's round the corners. And I think Oh, actually, before I round the corners, what we'll do is we'll put a little V slot in this front face in the center. I think that's probably going to be helpful. Now I'm thinking about it, I might want to make this a bit more than 2 mil on this surface as well, because I want to dig in. So let's make it 4 mil on the front and the top, 2 mil on the sides, since they only need to like latch over. That gives us space to put a crimp in the middle. Let's see, where's my center point? There's my center point. We'll make you a construction line, I think. And now what I want to do is, what's the easiest way to do this? How big of a V groove do I want? It only needs to be teeny tiny, a few mil. I don't know what the best way to do that's going to be. I could draw offset lines at either side. No, I think I probably, you know what? I probably want to do something on the end and then just extrude it across the length. No, not in that sketch plane. Come on, stop messing around. This sketch plane right here. So similarly, I have the center line will come down about halfway. In fact, let's definitely come down halfway, and 45 degrees, and just because it's better to do things, no, also mirror pattern, please. Let's mirror you over that center line, comme ça, and then we'll just extrude that groove all the way through. Come on, there we are. Right, I think that'll do, right? That looks like a what do we want? Various soft drawers. A couple of those printed in something like PETG. That'll probably do it. So I won't print them right now because I do want to double check my magnets, but that's basically just going to be dobber glue in the bottom, stick the magnets in, bish bash bosh. So yes, chamfer the sides. Let's I'll fillet the sides even. Let's take what, a 1 mil? Ooh, it's 1 mil too much. It's probably fine. Definitely want that on all of those faces which are going to touch anything. And I guess we might as well do it on these faces which are on top. Yeah, that's probably fine. Maybe a horizontal V as well. That's a good idea. That is a good idea. Let me do that before I radius anything, because that just makes life easier. Let's come along here. Middle line. We'll do the same thing. We'll come back by 2. Then we'll draw another line. Come up 45 degrees. Except you're off at a weird angle. What's the right angle when, what do I want here? It shouldn't be so difficult. Hang on a second. If that's 45 and that's 90, I want 135. That's what I want. I don't know why that took me so long. Come on. Don't mess with me around. I don't know, like it's snapped to 140 like nobody's business. There we are. And we'll mirror over that. Like that. And we'll do the same thing that way. yes, that all seems very sensible. That's probably... Oh, no, it's fine. It's coped with. Now, should I chamfer on a gentleness in those internal lines now, or is that going to be all right? That's probably all right. It's probably all right. I probably want those somewhat crisp. Again, I still think I'm probably going to print in this orientation, so those 45-degree angles should be fine with no supports. What does that mean about strength, though? What does that mean about strength? So these lines will be there. So there will be kind of a slight shear line here, but I think with these end caps, that should probably be fine. Right, let us quickly export that as an STL and just double check it in a slicer before we move on to something else. Come on, thinking. Yeah. Nice soft jaws. Somewhere I have the soft jaw pattern for the CNC vice, which is more of a it's just the MDF. Well, I made them out of MDF, but that's kind of wood soft jaws with a pattern that's just designed so I know where all the screws to go through are. Right, slicer. So that's good. Whilst the slicer is loading, how are we doing for time? 25 minutes in, 35 minutes in. For anyone that has been paying attention, you may notice the countdown timer is not to GMT o'clock as it is usually. It is just to T o'clock because it is January and I'm partaking, for the moment at least, in dry January. Just, one of those silly ideas that seemed like a good idea at the beginning of the year. Try and actually give the body a rest after a fairly heavy December. What did I just call that? I call it device soft jaws. Boom. Here we go. And of course, it doesn't put it in the right orientation. We'll have you on the deck. Thank you very much. Cool. So I've been printing everything at the moment at this 0.3mm super fast setting, which I copied from MakerMuse, and it's awesome because it is a lot faster. And I say a lot faster, like it's obviously essentially 50% faster than the fastest setting that comes pre-canned. And so far, like for workshop stuff, the quality is fantastic. Like it's perfectly good. So that is, however, a 10% infill. So one thing I don't know about that is that going to be strong enough? I guess because of those V cuts, you kind of do have a bunch of internal structure. Yeah, that's probably fine. And if it's not fine, I can always print them again. It doesn't seem like it would take much. Let me just export that to see how, not sure, hang on. See how much that is. Rings News video today on stringing. What can cause stringing was interesting. Oh, I haven't seen that. I shall have to check that out. I don't normally have a problem with stringing with PLA, but with the PET-G, it definitely is way more stringy. Save that. I still wish that this thing would tell me the estimated print time without me having to save the G code. But there you go. So 40 minutes for one. Actually, that's a good point. Why would I even set it up for one? I'm always going to want these in pairs. Let's increase copies and do that. I might actually. So the annoying thing about increased copies is that they are clones and you can't position them separately. But what I would do here I think, is I would put the large side back to back to minimize the movement it's going to need to make when printing both. So I'm actually, let's decrease copies. Oh, that's interesting. You kept that one. Okay, and instead of doing it that way, I'm going to add it as another separate component. And this way, I can position it on its own. Marvelous. Because I think, and I don't know that it would make much difference, but I think that would print faster in the real world because as this goes up, it has increasingly less travel to do. That probably makes no real world difference, but in my mind, it's details like that that are important. So let's just double check what that is going to take us. So it was like 38 minutes for one, pretty much exactly twice. Okay. But again, I want to double check the magnets that I have in the garage before I commit to that. So that is that done. We're halfway through. Let's look at where we got to with the coffee carrier because I should probably try and finish this version and see if we get anywhere better. Oh my goodness, and this is part of what was causing me craziness because at some point I had made joints and then I changed the size of everything and so you'll see from the red littered across the timeline at the bottom I've made a bit of a rod for my own back with this one, but I don't know why. What is this? Get rid of that one. Don't care about that one. So I think in last week's I was I was similar to what we just did with the V groove in the soft drawers. I was having V grooves in the bottom here as my mechanism for making sure that the legs of this handle would not fly off. And then I realized, that's probably still not good enough. Actually, I'll just make it a full slot all the way through. So we've ended up with these crosses that cut through, and then on the bottom of the legs, these nodules. Although, why have I not got those on both sides? I suspect that's one of the many things that these mirrors are complaining about. Obviously, that notch should be on both sides of each leg, which I think will be fine. The thing that I was messing with was in the original design, and I may have it around here somewhere. Do I have it around here somewhere? Yes. In the original design, the handle was going to clip on into these, I guess, little clippy bits on the top. I don't know what to call them. And I was thinking about just giving them a bit more space because on the side what you can see is that in very short order one of those broke off. But again, thinking in terms of like strength of print orientation, I was wondering, I found myself wondering, can I make the handle come in almost sideways and whether that would be better, because then I could have a larger block kind of V with a bit more support to it, but with a slot. And I set off to do that, but sometimes editing on top of a timeline is a bit problematic. Let's have a look. Right, yeah, so here I was attempting to mirror the faces of this block across. Right. So this mirror is complete garbage. Get rid of that mirror. I don't need that. Yes. That was a mirror from when I did have two legs on either side. Now let's look at this mirror. This is the mirror that I want to actually do. I want to mirror these faces. So you can see I have a slightly chunky block. Now I noticed this last time, and I'm convinced this is a bug with Fusion, which is if I'm trying to edit an existing mirror command, it doesn't let me select more than one face. Like I can say reset that. Maybe if I deselect the mirror plane as well, that's it. It doesn't let you select another face once you've selected the mirror plane. You have to do like two. So I'm gonna try selecting that and that. I think this could cause me some problems. Let me turn construction back on. Let's have that and go and do it and that didn't work. Let's just bring ourselves way back to that point in the timeline. This is why I didn't start with this, because if I'd started with this, I'd have gone pissed off. And that would have been non-constructive for the beginning. Whereas at least now I feel like I've made some progress today. That ought to work, right? There ought not be anything massively complicated about doing that. But, okay, you don't want to work that way. Understood, Fusion. 2 can play at that game. So what we're going to do is we're going to split this whole body. Split the whole body. And we're just going to mirror the whole damn thing. So let's, where are you? Why are you not? Did that split not work? Which, oh, there we are. It's fine. Good. So forget that side of it completely. And now we'll mirror the body again. Body, not faces. Perfect. And we'll combine those two. And you. And go. So I don't really look on that block to cut out what I need to cut out. But at least now, if I come back to like here, no, or not, right, yes. I can now complete work on this block to do what I need it to do, and then hopefully that duplication and whatnot mirroring will work. So, I need a leg. This was the other thing that was annoying me the other day, which I need to work around now, which is because the leg is a component, you get into this weird problem with moving it and it capturing position, and I don't really understand capture positions, so I am gonna just create a new one, and hopefully my new one will not suddenly disappear on me. Because yeah, what I had last time I was playing with this was I'd carefully position this whole thing, I'd get it where I thought I wanted to cut it out of this block, and then I'd go on to the next operation, it would jump right back to where it was, and there was no operation in the timeline to talk about it being there or anything, and it was immensely frustrating. Right, so I think the idea was that this would be at a little bit of an angle, maybe not that much of an angle. Let's do like 3 degrees, 3 degrees. So a little bit of an angle into the middle, and yeah, through there, and a little bit of an angle twisted down like that. May even not need that block to be as big as it is. And then we'll cut that piece out of there. Cut. And I think I can dispense with that leg. I just created the copy just to do that. So that leaves me just needing to open that hole up a little bit more. Maybe provide a little bit more tolerance for any kind of a print, and then like back up this side a bit. Although, if I back up that side, okay, let's worry about that in a second. So I want to remove this whole slice in a nice way. I think the nicest way to do that is essentially, what the hell am I selected on? Definitely not what I expected to be selected on. Let's try that again. Can I have this? Oh. These things are sent to try us. You can only sketch on flat surfaces. And obviously my end surfaces are not flat because I set this up to follow the curve. So as much as it looks kind of flat, it is in fact not flat. That's fine. That's fine. Best way to cut the remainder of that out. In theory, you can offset faces or press pull. I wonder if I can do an extrude on that. That's the way to do it. Except, of course, right, what I should try is a taper angle of 10. I want it to flare out, and I need it to flare out enough to take out this tiny remnant here on the curve, because otherwise I'm going to end up with that weird bit to deal with. And that's nice because I end up with a nice chamfered opening. Feeling good about that. It's now minutes o'clock and time for you to make things happen. You do it. Go for it. Make things. I will catch you maybe next time. In the meantime, I've got 20 more minutes before I'm going to break for tea o'clock. Let's back that off by 0.2 I said minus 0.2 mil. Just to give us a wee bit more space there, and then I probably do want to create like a little ridge, an extra ridge along this line maybe, to hold things in. Now, I realized as I was talking earlier about the fact that I want to put more material here, and I was just gonna curvy that, but I think if I curvy that, I'm gonna then have a problem when I try to, fillet is the word, fillet. I was going to have a problem when I want to select faces. So I think the better way to do that is probably to do that. There we go. And I don't even think I need that much height here. I'm going to, okay, or not. Let's not do it that way. Yeah, sorry, forget I suggested that, Fusion. You were not happy about that at all, were you? I just don't need that much bulk there. Let's try that with a, I think if I do an extrude, I'm going to end up with a weird thing. Always a bit of a weird problem, isn't there, Fusion? You can never make life easy. Right. What am I thinking? Let's measure this. Let's worry about the retaining clips for the legs first, and then I'll come back to worrying about the fact that this is too big. So that is 10 mil from there to there, which I knew because that is obviously, yeah, that's how I created it. So what I should be able to do is create a circle on this. Again, I really want to be able to sketch on this end plane. It would be so much more convenient. What's a good way to do this? I call cylinder that is like 10 mil wide. Does it need to be 10 mil? Maybe I'll make it 8 mil wide. And then I'll move that to where I need it. Yeah, you're in a weird orientation. That's not helpful. I say weird orientation. I don't know. How did it decide? Why did it decide that it needed to? Oh, I probably didn't need it to be 2 mil, did I? Well, let's see. So if I bury that. Oh, if I, yeah, I'm on some kind of wacky axis that Fusion has chosen at random just to mess with me. Let's bring that in this way. Yeah, that is fine. Just move it to there for the moment, and then I'll worry about aligning things. So really what I want is this to come up just enough to provide a little bit of grip when things clip in there. That is what I want. And all I really need to do is be able to move things without screwing them up. Oh no, don't move the boxing face. Move the body. Yes, this body. So of course I'm twisted because this is on an angle as well. I don't need to go out that far. 2 degrees, 3 degrees, 3 degrees will be fine. And that's way too much that way. Minus 2 degrees. That looks a bit straighter, doesn't it? That looks a lot straighter. So if I do that, is that enough to just add a bit of a ridge? Bit of a ridge, not too much of a ridge, bit of a ridge. That's a little shallow, doesn't it? Feel like maybe it needs to be a teeny tiny bit taller. And where taller in this case is not obvious. Let's say 0.3. Oh, way too much. Although it does help to remember what ridiculous scale I'm working at here. Maybe like that, maybe like that. That's probably fine. I don't really need there to be such weird geometry underneath this thing though. Feeling like this is not the best way to do this. Definite regret. Because now I've got this weird undercut geometry and I must be able to do this a nicer way. It's because I'm on a circle. I'm on a curved reference plane, trying to do something that should be simple. Just leave it like that for the moment. Just leave it like that. So that still leaves us with way too much material up here. Happier about material back here. So if I can slant this off and remove that bulk, then we might be in somewhere in the territory of a thing that I want to sort of accept as finished. And again, maybe the easiest thing to do here is just create a What if I sketch on this surface and just literally create something that covers the whole lot, and then we'll just extrude that whole thing down and use it as a cutting tool. That'll do. That looks much more like it. Let's chamfer this bad boy off like that. And then let's step to the end. Let's have a look. Oh, I guess this is a point, close to a point where I was dealing with something. Right. Come on, all the way to the end, please. Right. So what I should be able to do is rotate you and move you in like that. No, up. Oh gosh, do I have some wood? Like, oh god, I've got some crazy geometry in there that I don't want as well. Okay, don't do that for the moment. Let's get rid of this thing. Where did you get created? Is that where you got created? Yep. Yep. Oh, that's interesting. So if I select a surface, I had not noticed that before. The little 3 lines indicates the operation that did something with it. I'm going to delete that operation. Go away. I do not want you anymore. Yes. You're a separate body at the moment. You need to become part of the main body. That's for show. What have we got here? What are you? Oh, you're leg 1. Leg 1 is rubbish. I don't need it. Leg 2 and leg 3, or leg 2 and leg 2's copy are where it's at. So we still need to fix. Oh no, we don't need to fix now. I obviously fixed that by fixing some other random thing that wasn't working. That's reassuring. He says it's obviously reassuring when things fix themselves. So I think that, oh yeah. So that's really not helpful, is it? That's because these legs exist off the same design, but they're mirrored around a thing that I don't understand. Right. Let's just get this one side positioned sensibly, and we'll worry about the other side later. Oh, I still need to yeah, because I haven't gotten that random little ridge thing sorted, then it's also not on this side yet. 2 degrees, no, -3 degrees. I think it was -3 degrees. Maybe it wasn't. So that's sort of where we're at, right? So when it's in place, it'll latch in like that. We're almost golden. I could have probably just aligned that. Right. Save. This one is going to be all over the shop. Oh no, it is sort of mirrored. It is in its place. I think we're good. I think we are almost exactly where we want to be. Oh, except no, you're twisted the wrong way because you're mirrored in both axes. Never mind. Forget I said anything. Let's come back down here somewhere. Before I do that mirror operation, like that, we'll combine those 2 bodies, you and you, in a join, beautiful joinness, you and on you. There we are. And back to the present. Back to So if we pretend for a second that we don't care about that, this is the main finished design for the main carrier. Handle design is still good. I just need to position all of those things together properly for the print. And we can have another go at that design. The only thing, have I checked that with the longer legs I can fit them on the print bed? Probably not. Maybe not. We'll do that another time. What was the other thing? Oh, I wanted to start work on a gate, didn't I? Right. Running out of time, but the very least I can do is put in some basic dimensions for where the side gate needs to go. So what are we going to do? We're going to represent the corner of the house. Let's make you like 1 meter by 1 meter for a second, and we'll go up by, let's say, 2 meters. Right, pretend that's the corner of the house. In fact, I wonder if I can give it a brick. Can I give it physical material? Stone? Stone's kind of thing. Cobblestone, stone. Like brick would be good, right? So, yes. I just want something that differentiates a bit. I mean, it doesn't really need limestone. Let's just pretend my house is limestone. It isn't, but hey. And then also on also on that plane, and let's create a thing which is I mean, essentially it's a fence panel. It doesn't really matter. Let's say that it is, well, since we're working with meters, let's do that, but then we'll move it, we'll dimension it off of this line here, because what we have is 970 mil to work with. And let's pop you up by like 50, because what I actually have, I measured to the internal rails on the back of the fence panels, and I might as well do, you know, stupid model of the actual thing. Pattern. Let's have that. You. Why do I not have an arrow? Where's my arrow from a pattern? Oh, for goodness sake. Why can't, what? Am I missing something? About, oh, I need to select a direction. That's probably why I don't have an arrow yet. Of course. So, that's more like that, maybe. That'll do. I can figure out the actual heights. But basically, this is the hole that I have to work in. And I was thinking I would make basically a metal gate using 25 mil square stock and some flat stock that I have, or can buy more of. So I kind of want to sketch in here, is that right? One last thing I will do quickly is, I want to sketch on this plane of face, thank you. Doesn't really matter where broadly against here is fine. So 25 by 25. Let's just quickly model up a bit of steel. Offset that thing. It is pretty sure it's 2 mil, and it's, let's flip our corners by also 2 mil. And we are nearly out of time, so this is going to have to wait for maybe tomorrow, maybe next week. But I'm gonna play with sketching a. Gonna play with sketching a design for the old gate. This is probably a much faster way of doing this than I'm doing this. Can I select multiple of these at once? I obviously can, and I should have done so from the get-go. No, not 8. Oh. Let's try that again. And then we'll give it up for today. Two. Boom. Done. So the important thing is that I do know that I currently have a piece of steel which is about 166 point, let's say 7. So I have a chunk of something. Oh, did I just join that? I didn't mean to join that. Right. The beeper went off. The beeper beeped. We are out of time. We are out of time. Doesn't look like much, but that is going to be a side gate. Right. Thank you for those people who have hung out and anyone that watches after the event. This is me for today. I will be back probably tomorrow at 5 o'clock. A bit more CAD like nobody's watching. Let's just give the old headphone jack one more chance to not shame itself. No good. Oh, there we are. No. Honestly, it's going to drive me crazy. Right. See you later.